Hello and welcome. This is a quick, not really planned pop-up, but I have seen a few questions lately and also some posts on Facebook that propelled me forward to do this little Facebook Live about conditioned responses, what the problems are, why I don't like using them, and how most likely your horse has conditioned responses and what you can do about it. So in general, we can create conditioned responses with pressure and control, and also with treat-based training or positive reinforcement training. I do not advocate any of those trainings. I come from a perspective that I don't want to train my horse. I want to create conversations and from there build an interconnected relationship so that you and your horse can feel safe, secure, and confident together, and that your horse sees you as the lead in your herd of two or more. So, what are conditioned responses? Conditioned responses are reactions from the horse that are created and happen on a certain trigger, and then the horse moves through, I would say, an automated response or reaction. So in general, I like to use the word response when it is a thinking response, when my horse is connected with me, is paying attention, when the ears are pointed forward softly and the eyes are soft and facial expression is soft, and my horse is like, yeah, what are you talking about? What are we going to do together? Versus, oh boy, what does she want from me today? Ears stiff, eyes big, wrinkles around the nose, facial tense expression, body tense, right? So we're looking for that engagement, and we're looking for a horse that pays attention and where we can help our horse to be brave and to have interactions with us based on conversations versus me saying, you do this, you do that. Why are you not doing this? I can't believe you're doing that again. Why are you worried about the puddle? That is just a little bit of water, and so on, right? So these conditioned, let's call them reactions, right? Because I don't really consider them a response. They happen when we create a pattern and we're doing it over and over again, and the horse learns when XYZ happens, I need to do ABC. And this can start from the approach. For example, a conditioned response can be if the horse does not want to be caught, that the human goes to the length of chasing the horse around, taking resources away, as in energy and ability to move and strength, until the horse gives in and is either cornered or doesn't see another opportunity but to go to the human, right? So sometimes we're seeing videos where the horse comes to the human and we're like, oh, look at that. This is so great. This is liberty. The horse comes over to the human. But you really need to look at the overall facial expression of the horse, of the body language of the horse. If that is really willing out of free will and free choice, or whether it is a conditioned reaction, right? Horses can learn that they don't have a choice, that they have to do what the human wants them to do, and then they become a robot where we press a button, or a puppet where we pull strings. And if you would like to have a horse like that, then my group is not for you. Just a little warning. This is not what this group is about, and this is not what my teachings are about. So this is approach. The next big thing is usually it can be feeding. I had yesterday, we had one of my mentorship group meetings, and one of my new students in the group said, my trainer told me that my horse has to back up and bow, put his head low so that I can be the dominant part in this relationship. So that is to me also a conditioned reaction. And do I believe that my horse needs to honor and accept and respect my personal space? Absolutely, right? This is really important that your horse has a clear understanding where your personal space starts and where it ends. But when we're pushing our horse away, when we're driving our horse back, and when we're making the horse to lower his or her head, that is not necessarily acceptance. That can be tolerance, that can be submission, that can be getting stuck and worrying. That is not creating relaxation and confidence in the horse. So during feeding times, I would like for my horse to honor my personal space and simply move out of my personal space without me really saying anything about it, simply because my horse accepts that I am the lead. And just real quick, we heart-centered horse lovers, we usually have a tendency to shrink back, and that might look something like, oh honey, you need to get out of my space. Come on, baby, move back. No, move back now. Oh, good boy, right? And so this is kind of passive, kind of non-assertive, and we're kind of shrinking, maybe even back. The dominant person says, back, right? And it's driving the horse away, and it sounds dominant, and it is dominant with the body language. The lead honors her personal space. This is my personal space. It is unavailable. It's like a brick wall around me, right? A bubble around me. And that is my personal space. I describe my personal space, but I don't tell my horse where to go. I just want my horse to automatically make room for me because of who I am and what I do and what I don't do. And that has a lot to do with respect. I just don't like to use the word respect because people a lot of times demand respect versus earning the respect. I need to earn my horse's respect, how I show up as the benevolent lead, always keeping my horse's best intentions in mind: wellness, well-being, health, mental, emotional, and physical balance, and so on. So let's move on to haltering. Over the last 3 years, where I have pretty much taught exclusively online because of the situation the world was in, I have now students all around the world, in New Zealand and Australia, even in the Philippines, in Germany, UK, Ireland, Canada, US, and so on and so on. And so I get a lot of videos because we have 4 meetings each week for 3 weeks out of the month. So there are 12 meetings, and we have, depending who shows up, we can have up to 10 different videos in one meeting. So I have seen a lot of people, a lot of horses. We have hundreds of hours in the mentorship group recordings, right, that you can go in and search and learn from others. This idea that we are practicing reciprocity, right, is really important. Everybody puts something in the pot with a video, everybody gets something out. So haltering, I have noticed, is a huge, big problem for horses. And here is why. The halter and lead rope often represents for the horse that choices are being taken away, that they have to do what the human expects them to do, that pressure is being applied, that control is being assertive, and that things happen that causes the horse to brace, to be tense and tight, to worry, to have stress and anxiety and fear in their life. So suddenly, a piece of rope or a piece of leather or a piece of nylon webbing has a meaning for the horse, right? And the human has put that meaning into that object. And that might not have been you, right? That might have happened when the breeder separated mom from the baby, pushed the baby in the corner, wrestled the halter on the baby, and then from then on micromanaged the baby and made sure that the halter is on there as quick as possible so that they can control the horse. And that can have a lasting impact on the horse for the rest of her life, unless we are creating a clean slate. So my students in the mentorship group, They spend a lot of time making sure that every step of the way in the happy horse inventory, you might have noticed approach, feeding, haltering. Those are 3 happy horse inventory tasks that we are releasing. We're doing 5 things. A, we're showing up as the benevolent lead mare, always having our horse's best interest in mind and making sure that we and our horse feel safe, secure, and confident together, right? We're coming from the we perspective. We're not saying you do this, you do that, why are you not doing this? We are doing things together. If we cannot canter, then we cannot canter yet. And that automatically opens up the opportunity for change. Little 3-letter word, right? So this idea that we're showing up as the lead mare, that we're setting healthy boundaries, talked about that, space conversations, that we're looking at mini and micro thresholds. So a lot of times students come to me and they say, my horse bucks, my horse has a tendency to strike or kick or bite, or they, in the UK and in Australia, they say they're napping. Over here, we say barking. My horse spins around, runs home, all of those things that are really big thresholds, right? But there are things that happen before that, the mini and micro thresholds, the horse starting to get tension in the body, the wrinkles in the nose and mouth area, the tongue pushed against the roof of the mouth, the eyes getting either big or maybe small and sleepy, the horse getting really quiet, right? Or the horse getting really agitated, starting to move faster, the tail swoosh, the tension in the pole area. All of this can mean that the horse is starting to have brace tension, stress, worry, anxiety, and fear. And then the next big threshold happens where the horse is then actively protesting and is being defensive, right? And so finding those mini thresholds, accepting them that they exist, addressing them and dissolving them is super important, because if you don't dissolve the threshold your horse has around the haltering, you're carrying that brace into everything else that you do, including riding, right? And then we wonder why our horse is tense and tight and can't create rhythm and relaxation in the gait, or doesn't want to leave the property, or starts prancing on the trail, or spooks. Those are all things that actually are starting most likely in the everyday tasks. So for example, a lot of horses, once you put the halter on them, if you're able to put the halter on them, they turn into this, okay, now I'm just going to do what you tell me to. This is a shutdown horse. And a shutdown horse is not safe. And a shutdown horse is not confident. And people think that control and dominance keeps them safe. But think about that. Horses respond or react twice as fast as a human athlete. Most likely, we have a very small percentage of people, of the 1,500 plus people that are here in the group, are truly a human athlete. I know for sure I'm not one. So that means that my horses are even faster in their response or reaction than I am. So control, total illusion, doesn't exist. Pressure creates self-preservation and self-protection in the horse. And again, that then causes the horse to be tense and tight, and the horse doesn't feel safe, doesn't feel secure, doesn't feel confident, and that's where scary experiences and even accidents happen for horse and human. That's why I'm such a proponent of what I call the triple X relaxation strategy. We start out with relaxation. Where is your horse currently relaxed? In what environment is your horse currently relaxed? With what tasks can your horse stay in relaxation? Can my horse be relaxed in the barn, in the paddock, in the stall, in the pasture? And can my horse be relaxed in the riding arena? And can my horse be relaxed on the rest of the property? And can my horse be relaxed going in the trailer? And can my horse be relaxed going out on the trail? You cannot go out on the trail, in my opinion, and expect to be safe, secure, and confident if your horse is not relaxed. Because what does relaxation mean? Relaxation means the absence of brace tension, stress, worry, anxiety, and fear. As soon as your horse is bracy and tense and tight, you have lost relaxation, the very basis for safety and security and confidence. So super important. So when your horse currently allows you to halter him or her, and then you kind of feel that your horse turns into a little robot and just do what you tell him to do, or your horse kind of gets a starey look on the face when you're putting the halter on, or the nose turns away from you, or the head goes down or left and over, or the ears go back and forth while you're trying to halter. That is a horse that says, please don't put that thing on my head. I don't like it. And if you're saying, just don't be such a baby, it's not a big deal, your horse doesn't feel seen, heard, or understood. And it's absolutely impossible to create interconnection with an animal that doesn't feel seen, heard, and understood. You can facilitate connection, artificial connection. People do it all the time. There are so many Liberty videos where somebody has created artificial connection, right? For example, when I was still a Pirelli instructor, one of my favorite games was that we would all gather in the arena with our horses, and one person would be in the middle with a horse at liberty. And every time the horse would turn away from her human, the people that were around the horse at the edge of the arena would swing their stick and string and drive the horse back to the human. What I didn't understand back then, that my horse had really not a choice, right? That didn't necessarily mean that my horse wanted to come to me. Somebody else facilitated my horse coming to me. But as soon as those people were not around, would my horse come to me in a big pasture and stick with me? Not necessarily. So we can, in smaller areas, we can create patterns. If people are really good at doing pressure and control, they can even establish something that's called helplessness, learned helplessness, right? And that is a conditioned reaction. This idea that our horse goes through the motions because they have learned that they don't have a choice, learned helplessness. So really go out and watch your horse's body language. When your horse sticks the nose in the halter, it does not necessarily mean that your horse wants to be haltered. You can condition the horse to do that movement. It does not mean that your horse is mentally, emotionally, and physically relaxed. When horses stick their nose in the halter and then they push immediately their head up, that is a very good indication that your horse really didn't want to be haltered. And again, we need to look for healthy boundaries, mini and micro thresholds. We need to create triple X relaxation, right? And we need to foster lightness through softness. And so there we have the opportunity to stop and to wait and to help our horse truly accept the task of haltering. And that might not be done in a session. That might not be done in 5 sessions. That might not be done in a week. I have sometimes students that play with this task off and on for weeks until the horse has been able to really let go of all the preconceived notions that they have around that tool. We have to imagine that if my horse is 10 years old, there are 365 days in a year. And let's say somebody, as sadly as this happens, haltered the horse in the first few days. So we have 3,650 days of the horse potentially living with a brace in their body against haltering because of what somebody had done in the beginning and how it was done. And the horse has trauma that is attached to the task. And if you're spending half an hour versus 3,650 hours, then that can be not enough, right? So it will behoove you to put once and for all the time in there to help your horse to truly accept the halter. So you will often see me doing things at liberty, and then I work on the haltering, and my horses are just, or whichever horse I'm working with, or when my students work with their horse or play with their horse or build a relationship with their horse, however you want to, use the wording so that we don't get into this control pressure idea. And I don't use the halter as in controlling the horse or getting the horse to do what I want to do. My horse is just carrying the halter. When you look at Sari and Navi, my two big Percheron Andalusians mare, if you're familiar with my Herdbound project, which I'm still working on, and I'm behind in the timeline, but there is still stuff going on in the background. So stay tuned for more information. But the first big video that I created, the 90-minute video, you see that moment where I realize that Sari and Navi, once we got through the haltering process, they were okay with the halter because they were wearing the halter 24/7 with the previous owner, to the point where all the hairs had rubbed off on their head, and from afar they looked like they would wear a halter once I took the halter off. But once I clipped the lead rope into the halter, that's when things changed, and I realized that I don't like that moment, right? And so again, then I have to resolve that reaction, make sure that my horse feels seen, heard, and understood. Connie said, mine do come up and put their nose in on their time, not just force. Yeah, so this is really important that we see in the body language of our horse that our horse has a soft facial expression, that there are no wrinkles in the nose and mouth area, that the mouth is not pressed tight. You can check on that if you rub a little bit on the corner of your horse's mouth, and then you kind of gently rub the bottom lip right here. And when your horse suddenly pops the lips open and starts licking and chewing, you know your horse was holding on to tension in the nose and mouth area. The nose and mouth area is the area where all the nerve endings of the limbic systems are. And what is the limbic system? The limbic system is the part of the brain that is responsible for processing emotions. When your horse holds their mouth tightly shut, then the hyoid apparatus cannot function properly, and there are 16 muscles attached to the hyoid apparatus. So that means the TMJ is locked, the tension goes down the neck, into the shoulder, into the forelimbs, and the entire rest of the horse's body. So super, super important. Sometimes your horse can put the nose in the halter and maybe even have a soft facial expression, but you still have tension in the nose and mouth area. So we need to make sure, A, that we find it, that we release it, and that it doesn't come back, right? So that we fix it once and for all, and we don't put a Band-Aid on it, and we're looking around that idea of my horse feels seen, heard, and understood. Haltering, right? Leading. When we're leading, we want to be the lead. And in general, as one of my pre-ride safety checks, I say, can your horse walk, trot, stop, back up, move to the left and move to the right, either at liberty with true will and free choice, not with micromanaging your horse, or with a lead rope having slack at the entire time. Because what does that mean? I can build on that riding on a loose rein. Very important. Is your horse truly accepting you as the lead? We can easily figure that out when we're leading our horse. Angel says, sometimes Harry will take 10 minutes to walk to me and put his nose into the halter. I hold the halter up and he needs to put his head under my armpit to put his nose into the halter. So that's a really good point, right? I can create actually a little bit of a restricted area, and with that setup, I can see, is my horse truly relaxed enough? Does my horse trust me enough? Does my horse feel seen, heard, and understood that he can actually put his head under my arm and then put the head in the halter, instead of me pulling the nose piece up on the horse's head and then flipping the hind end over, whacking my horse in the head? You see that all the time, right? That's not how it should be done. Can my horse truly, out of free will and free choice, accept the halter, not just tolerate it? It's very important. Last but not least, actually not last but not least, but picking up feet. A lot of times we're not very picky about picking up feet as long as we somehow can hold on to our horse's foot and clean it out, and hopefully the farrier can get his job done. But truly, when your horse 100% happily and willingly, out of free choice, relents his or her feet to you when you pick up feet, that means I want my horse to shift her weight over, allow me to pick up the foot, handle the foot, spiral it back down, put it on the tippy toe, wait for me, for my horse to shift her weight back over on that foot. And you want to be able to do that with all 4 feet. Then the horse really truly relents her feet to you, which then can translate, again, think about pre-ride safety check, that you can be hopefully in charge of speed and direction when you're riding. I don't know why people don't make that connection, that when your horse does not relent the feet on the ground, why do we humans think that we're safe riding a horse when we want to be in charge of speed and direction? When we don't even have it on the ground, most likely it will not get better, right? So this idea that your horse can have conditioned responses, like, you squeeze your horse's pasterns and the leg comes up, but it's quick, right? And it's a reaction, and it's not a conversation as in, can you shift your weight over? Can I pick up your foot? Can I handle the foot? Can I spiral? Why do we spiral the foot? Because when you can spiral the leg and the foot down, you have to have relaxation in that leg to do so. To put the foot on the tippy toe, if there is not relaxation in the leg, that foot will immediately snap back down, or will be pulled up and then slammed down. Missing relaxation, conditioned response versus having a conversation with your horse. And your horse is a responding partner. Before I finish my little presentation here, I want to really quick talk about treats. We heart-centered horse lovers, we love treats, and a lot of people, when they want to get away from pressure and control focused training techniques, move towards positive reinforcement. I personally do not like clicker training, treat-based training, and here is why. You are creating conditioned responses. That is quite the mechanical way of interacting with your horse. That is not relationship building. You do not have to show up as the lead to condition your horse with treats. It's a shortcut. And again, if that's what you want to do, it probably will not help to be in the group here, because I'm going to tell you all the time that I don't like treat-based training and positive reinforcement techniques because of that problem, because I see so many people overriding mini and micro threshold with treats because they're just as task focused as the control and pressure focused horse people. I want my horse to run to me. How do you do that? Well, you put a barrel there and you lead your horse around the barrel, and then you give the horse a treat when your horse comes back. And then you put the barrel a little bit further and you give your horse a treat when the horse comes back. And then eventually you can have that barrel, 20 feet away from you, and you send your horse to the barrel, and then your horse runs back to get the treat. That's a conditioned response. Your horse is not coming to you because you're the most awesomest human. Your horse is coming to you because you have a treat. And I personally like the self-development part of the program that I've created, that you learn how to be the lead, because that will not only help you in the horsewomanship, that will also help you with everyday life. Today we were watching a video from my student Helen in the UK, who has made amazing progress with her horse Sky. Sky was very shut down. She had a lot of brace and tension. She turned into a total maniac in the indoor arena. She was so afraid that she was dangerous. And so now she is listening, she's finding relaxation, she's starting to be calm, her facial expression is relaxed. And so exciting, we just have found a threshold with Sky that is around girthing. So she accepts the saddle pad, she accepts the saddle. There is no negative reaction whatsoever. But as soon as the girth comes to kind of push against her skin in her belly area, she's like, oh, don't do that. So what we've discovered today during the video about grooming was that when Sky is being brushed and kind of rigorously with short strokes, then the skin starts to twitch. So what does that mean? That means that there is tension and the muscles start to fire, right? So we want to groom with really long, soft strokes. We want to think about love and peace and warmth and calm and relaxation that we can all put in those brush strokes, right? We can start in the area where the horse is 100% accepting, and we move a little bit close and a little bit closer to that area where our horse is not accepting yet. And when our horse gives us feedback, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go away again. Can I come an inch closer? Can I do it in a way that it feels really good to you? Can I use a soft brush and actually, maybe massage that area a little bit? And my horse is actually going to say, oh, you know what? That actually feels nice, right? So we can create the conditioned response in the horse in that, or reaction in that moment is, don't do that, right? Head snaps around, ears pinned back, don't do that. And we can release that as well. We don't have to put up with that kind of response. I had a student in Alabama. She had the horse for 10 years, and one instructor after the other told her, oh, that's just how your horse is. Just tie her short, that she doesn't bite you. No, the horse is saying, please, please, please hear me. Can you hear me? I don't like it. Please don't do this. Stop it. What are you doing? And when we're just pushing through that, our horse will resign, our horse will disconnect, our horse will brace mentally, emotionally, and physically. I did one session with this horse. It was about 40 to 45 minutes where I guided the owner through the process of releasing those mini and micro thresholds. By the end of the 45 minutes, the horse licked and yawned and chewed, and her owner was able to put the bareback pack on her and cinch her the first time in 10 years without the horse trying to bite and nip at her, and finding relaxation. Not tied, at liberty. So it's a matter of, are you saying, well, it's just the personality of my horse. This is who she is because somebody else told you that. Well, that's just how your horse is. Just don't bother about it. That's fine. Just tie her shorter. Or are you like, wait a moment, my horse is actually talking to me. And I want my horse to feel seen, heard, and understood. And I want my horse to interact with me and have a conversation and not just be a robot and be a puppet where I pull strings and press buttons. I want my horse to really, truly interconnect with me. And that is only possible if you see your horse, if you hear your horse, and if you understand your horse. So I hope this presentation was helpful. I have... my goal is to always pop up here once in a while in the group and give you value totally for free, no strings attached. If you have a question, please feel free to put this here in the comment section. I am here to help you and your horse have the best relationship possible based on interconnection, letting go of control, pressure, and treat focus training so that you and your horse can feel safe, secure, and confident together. As I always say in my mentorship group meetings, be blessed and with lots of love, because love makes everything better, including our horsewomanship. Bye now, and thanks for watching and hanging out with me.